Hey Alpha Fam, Coach Jam here with another market update. Before we begin, I do want to say that nothing in these videos is financial advice. Everything's for educational purposes only. It's just my own analysis on the market. Also, if you're new to the channel, if you could please give us a like, comment, and a subscribe. We really do appreciate all the support. So let's get into the market, guys. So we've had an interesting weekend. We've had a couple of announcements. The big one that everybody, the rumor that's going around, is this U.S.-Iran ceasefire plan. All right, guys? And this is what drove this move in the market yesterday. You can actually see it happen about 4 o'clock. What's interesting is we're actually getting a little bit of a negative reaction, I think, is because of this ISM services PMI, which just dropped down to 54, which is really conflicting with the other ISM that we just got that expanded almost up 0.5%. All right. And I think this one is definitely one that holds more weight than the both of them. But they're very interesting to see that there's a little bit of a divide where you got one going up and one going down. But we do understand that we still are in QE, guys. And as long as we're in QE, I think that we're going to see the market start to expand due to that. Not just the market, but the economy. All right, guys. And if you remove all of the negative factors that have been going on in the market lately, which has honestly only been what? The Iran war. That's been the driver of all of the volatility and all of the FUD. If you remove the volatility and remove the FUD, what is left? Well, it's actually pretty bullish, guys. There's actually a bunch of bullish drivers that are going on that have never actually occurred during a bear market. So I think this is going to cause two things. One, I think people are going to get complacent. I think people are going to think this is going to last a lot longer than they think it is. And I think they're going to get left behind. Two, I think that the market and a lot of participants are expecting a lot lower prices. And I do think that there's a high probability that Bitcoin definitely comes to the bottom of this range and even probably breaks it and sweeps it. You guys know I've talked about this $57,000 region. The reason why I've talked about that, and it just for a couple of things, guys. One, I think it just makes a lot of sense. If you look at this range that we're in, all right, and if you draw another little box, all right, guys, just right down here to the 57, I think this is where the spring could be completed at. And if the reason, and the main reason why, is this fib level, guys. If you look at where the fib goes, there's a major fib level. If you come all the way down here and go all the way up there, and you look at where this fib level lands, right at 57,000. See, guys? So if you see the buy box there, and this also is interesting because this is also a major order block for these three places too. So when it came into this general zone, it deviated, swept that liquidity, and pushed up. It was even interesting is when this thing was going up, this was the 50% level where it was heavy resistance. And I think out of all the fibs, this one would hold the most significant weight because it's going from the very bottom of the bear to the very top of the expansive for the last bull. And these are the major levels that we're seeing. So this would be an interesting level. I think it would hold with the thesis of us hitting a spring. And again, guys, like I said, I wouldn't get too excited yet because at any time, if there's anyone that sends rockets or missiles or bombings or announcements of continue military action, then we will see this market go right back down. It'll be like it never even existed. It'll just go boop, right back over. So one thing that is interesting is that we did break above this resistance level. And what I would definitely expect us to do at some point is, at least because it was pretty significant, was there for a couple weeks, us to come back down to the bottom of it and at least retest it as support. I would like to see that. And again, just take it one day at a time. Setting my limit orders, DCAing, and being very strategic. Looking at the traditional markets, guys, we've talked about this. Still well under the 50. Yes, it's starting to show a bounce and a little bit of strength, but I will say this. I won't change my bias. And I said, I just hosted a Capital Club VC this weekend where we talked about this, where I will not change my bias until this thing was to reclaim, hold, and show strength, and then start to move up. All right. What I have a feeling is going to happen is this thing's going to start basing out, and then this is going to drift up to it, and we could even maybe deviate above it, but I think it's going to reject, and we could potentially come back down lower where we complete the rest of the correction before that actually occurs. I think this would also line up with our spring theory. Just think about it, guys. So with that being said, regardless, taking it extremely slow, one day at a time, DCAing, setting limit orders, in building positions. Again, we've talked about all of the conflicting stuff where it just doesn't add up to what we've had or experienced in any other bear markets. And this is why I think that guys have to be very serious about their positioning, getting prepared for the next few months. Because again, if you remove all the negative, not just we're in QE and not just the ISM expanding over 50, we also got a new Fed chair coming in here in just the next month or so, guys. He's going to be coming in, I think, with a full understanding that he is there to try to lower those interest rates as aggressively and as fast and as quickly as possible. I think he's also going to press the hammer and push the gas down in more additional QE. I think we also have to look at midterm years, guys, and just be very smart. Start building a thesis, start building a plan, start getting positions ready. And don't FOMO, guys. That's why the whole thing about putting your limit orders there are so important. You can go on, and I think there's a strong argument that most of these projects, even though Bitcoin goes down and probably has a chance of making another lower low, I think that some of these alts don't. All right, guys? I think Ethereum would be one that would even maybe have an argument that it's already kind of made its lower low. And yeah, it could potentially drift back down to like maybe hit this. And there's a major support zone right here, guys. If you look at it, like it's a major support zone. There's a couple of things that are interesting for Ethereum that are going on. But it has this major support zone right here, guys. All right? And I have a feeling that Ethereum doesn't come even further down than where it was. I think that Ethereum has already put its low in, and that what it will do is as Bitcoin makes a lower low, Ethereum won't. It will make a lower high, and then it will start and make its move up, and it will start to show more strength. And again, guys, remember, these 50-day EMAs are going to be heavy resistance, and what we're looking for right now is a clean break above, hold, and push. And once that happens, guys, even if you're like a little skittish and you don't want to enter in the market right now, and I get it, don't want to catch a falling knife, that's one way you can look at it. You can look at when we reverse and we start to show strength, when we come back down, and if we hold that 50 and we use it as support, and it's not like one of these quick deviations where it just went up, deviated out, but couldn't hold and couldn't sustain above that level. When we actually hold above it and hold it as support, that can also be a confirmation for you to be able to move further. Looking at oil. So I'm kind of interested to see what oil does over the next day or so. We know that oil went down slightly yesterday. It is very, very high. I would definitely like to see this thing drop back down. Even if we come into some of the lower levels, guys, and some of the lower time frames on the 5-minute, you can see where yesterday when that announcement kind of happened, it had this little bit of a push down, but you can see we're starting to move back up. I am really hoping that this ceasefire gets announced. And again, it couldn't. Maybe it takes like another couple of weeks or so. But when it happens, I think that oil will drop down. I think Trump needs oil to go down. I think it's a very important thing that he's trying to get done because he doesn't want inflation going up because it's going to be very hard for the Fed to cut rates if that happens. And he has to prepare for midterms, guys. This is midterm years. Later on this year, they're going to be battling. It's politics, guys. And they're going to want the economy. And I believe that Trump definitely wants the economy to be doing as good as possible during that period of time. With that being said, guys, taking it very slow. And again, if this is your first time seeing any of my content, my name's Coach JM. I've been a digital asset investor for over 5 years. I am the founder of Alpha Syndicate, and I host all the Crypto Talk workshops inside of Capital Club. And if you want to learn this stuff, guys, how we connect the macro, the fundamentals, the technical analysis, and combine it together, if you want a place where you can get coached and mentored by somebody like me, click the link below, guys. We'll see you inside.